have only one goal with this video, which is that this is the last video of this kind that you ever have to watch. This is going to be a very practical, specific guide on how to make 2025 the year of your life. I'm not here to waste your time. Let's get right into it. So this is going to be a very specific guide with 3 different steps that you can do immediately after this video. I'm mainly going to focus on business and health. This is not specific to dropshipping or e-commerce where I'm usually from. You got to remember one thing before I actually start giving you the advice, is that it is worth absolutely nothing if you don't go ahead and execute it yourself. The goal is to be 1% better every single day. The goal is never to be 1,000 times better than yesterday, because that's impossible. And if you actually try to level up too quickly, you will fuck up everything up and you will fail. And so if you just focus on making just one thing a little bit better every single day, then within a year you will be insane. You will be so much better than last year. And so this is really what you have to focus on. Whatever it is, whatever you're trying to improve on in your life, try to be 1% better, just a little bit better than the day before, and you will realize that everything you do will change drastically. But this compounds because at the end of the day, if you're always 1% better, then after enough time, you'll be so much better. And this is just something obviously which has to do with delaying your gratification. You have to be smart. You have to know that you will that rewards come later, that you have to delay gratification and the reward for now, even though it hurts, it's painful, it doesn't feel like it's the thing that you have to do now because your brain does not reward you for it. However, this is something which is directly correlated to how intelligent you are. The longer you're able to delay gratification without actually needing a reward for the work that you put in, the smarter you are. And so this is the first thing that I'm going to tell you, is your ability to delay gratification and to always focus on being 1% better every single day. And what's super important as well is that your habits are going to make you successful, not your goals. Winners and losers have the same goals, all right? So this is something which, when I've heard this for the first time, this was a very eye-opening moment for me. So what you do is actually going to determine if you'll be successful or not. And your goals don't really matter. Again, winners and losers dream about the same stuff. They have the same goals. So don't focus on writing down vision boards and making the craziest goals with smart and whatever it is. Only focus on optimizing your habits and what you do every single day, and that is actually going to make you successful. That's something which I've realized as well. And so there's a couple of things that you can do to, first of all, create good habits, and then second of all, break habits. And that's what I want to break down now. And so the first thing is, if you want to create good habits, you have to make them obvious, you have to make them attractive, you have to make them easy, and you have to make them satisfying. And if you want to break a bad habit, the only thing you have to do is kind of reverse these rules, how to create good habits. So if you want to break a bad habit, you have to go from making it obvious to making it invisible. You have to make it unattractive, you have to make it very difficult to do, and you have to make it very unsatisfying. And I'm going to give you examples for both of these. First of all, let's say your habit, the good habit which you want to build, is working on your business for 10 hours a day, right? How can you do that? First of all, you have to make it obvious. And a way to do this is actually to go ahead and design your environment in a way where the only thing that you can do there is work. And so, for example, have your office or have the place where you're working in a separate room than where you sleep. Obviously, this is going to be more difficult if you, for example, live with your parents or whatever. But there's still ways that you can do this. For example, put your desk into another place of the room. This is something which will trigger your brain and kind of can adapt new habits there. If all you do at one particular place is work, then your brain will automatically fall into a work flow if you are at that environment. And this is going to help you immediately to actually go ahead and work for 10 hours a day, or as long as you want. And so you have to make it obvious, for example, by designing your environment. What you can also do is habit stacking, which is basically you go ahead and tell yourself, after habit 1, I will do habit 2. So this will make it extremely easy for you to follow a certain habit, certain pattern of habits that you do after another. So you could say, I'm going to work for 2 hours now, then I'm going to go eat something, then I'm going to come back exactly right here and work again. And like this, if everything is planned out and everything is structured, then you will never find yourself in the situation of asking yourself what you have to do next, but you're just going to go ahead and do it because it's going to be super obvious and super easy to actually execute. Second thing is make it attractive. So for our example here, do something you like after working. So after you've finished work, maybe go ahead and watch a movie, play some video games, whatever it is, go work out, right? Whatever it is, you have to make it attractive. And what's also going to make it super attractive for you to actually do productive stuff is to join a network or a culture where what you do is super normal. If you're around people all the time that work for 20 hours a day, right, then working 20 hours a day is completely normal, right? However, if you're around losers that tell you, oh yeah, I only work for 2 hours a day on your business, it's enough, then it's going to be super difficult for you to actually go ahead and work 10 hours a day because it's going to feel like you're something special, like you're that crazy hard worker. And so join a network, a culture where the standards are higher, and you will realize your standards will adapt as well. Third rule, make it easy. So obviously you have to decrease the steps between you and your good habits, right? Make it super easy to do. If you wake up and everything is prepared for you, you only have your laptop, you have your notebook, and that's it, then it's going to be super easy for you to actually go ahead and only work. If there's no distractions, nothing. And so decrease the steps between you and the work. And also, what is also going to make everything super easy is to downscale your habits into 2 minutes so that they're executable in 2 minutes or less. So really break down every good habit. You know, you wake up, get out of bed, you turn on your computer and you start working and you do this. And the smaller everything is planned out, the more specific you are, the easier it will be to follow the plan and just stick to it. And so it will be super easy. And then last but not least, you have to make it satisfying, right? Reward yourself after working, right? And so every time that you do the work, that you put in the reps, reward yourself afterwards. Do something which you enjoy. This is kind of similar to make it attractive. However, give yourself an immediate reward. And what also helps with giving yourself a reward and actually triggering dopamine after you did something productive is to just tracking the habit. Even though it's nothing that you particularly get from it, this is something which actually gives you immediate dopamine after you do this. Basically, it's to track your habits, for example, with a calendar, with a journal, however you want to do it. Every time you do a rep of something, reward yourself for it by tracking it, and you will realize how much more satisfying it is to actually put in the hard work. And I also prepared an example of breaking a bad habit. And again, we just want to invert these rules of how to create good habits and just, turn them around. And that's the same that applies for breaking bad habits. And so let's say the habit that we want to break is eating chocolate every day. Well, the first thing you have to do is to make it invisible. Well, very simple. If you don't have chocolate at home, you won't be able to eat it. So remove everything that you want to break from your environment, including bad people. So if you want to break a bad habit, make it invisible. Second of all, make it unattractive, right? Highlight the benefits of not eating chocolate every single time that you want to do it. And also remind yourself of what you look like in 1 year if you keep doing this habit, for example, right? So if you actually go ahead and do this, it will be extremely unattractive, and you will suddenly realize, bro, I don't even want to eat this piece of chocolate, right? And then third of all, make it extremely difficult to do. So increase the steps in you in bad habits. So let's say, you have chocolate at home because your parents keep buying it, then just go ahead and hide it somewhere, or just make it extremely difficult in your environment to actually go ahead and go there and eat chocolate. And also make it effort intensive, right? Make yourself work harder before eating chocolate, and you will eat it less and less. And also make it unsatisfying. So what helps with that is actually going ahead and getting an accountability partner who always helps you and you help them to stick to their good habits and break their bad habits, and tell them every time that you ate chocolate, right? Go ahead, talk to them and tell them, hey, I failed, all right? And make the cost of a bad habit public, right? If you did it, make it public. Tell as many people as possible, and you'll suddenly realize how bad it actually is and how unsatisfying it actually is to keep sticking to these bad habits. Now, your habits are only the first step of turning your life around. And the second thing that you have to do is drop your ego. Your ego is your enemy, and I've written down a couple of points why exactly that is the case and how you can actually go ahead and forget your ego, drop it, and actually succeed in life. And the first thing is to aspire, right? First step, aspire. Stop talking about what you're gonna do. Stop talking about your goals. The easiest way to kill a big dream is to present it to a small mind. Stop talking about whatever you do. Life is just better if no one knows what you're doing, and the work that you do silently actually matters. Become a student, right? Realize that you don't know nothing probably right now, and just go ahead, sit down and actually learn from people and whatever you can find, every information, right? Be grateful for it. Don't act like you're better than you are, because if you're not where you want to be at in life, chances are that you are not is good enough and you don't deserve to be there where you want to be. Try to turn your passion into purpose. Stop being proud. Pride kills your motivation and all your discipline. The more proud you are, the less you'll actually realize that you lack skills, that you lack information, and then the less you will learn. And you need to keep learning to keep growing. And so the more proud you get about what you have, the slower your growth is going to be. And you have to work as hard as you possibly can. Now, once you see success, there's still a couple of things which you have to do, and it's super easy once you see a little bit of success, whatever you do, that you get super proud and your ego just grows extremely quickly, especially if people start praising you about your success. And so one thing which you always have to remind yourself of is to stay a student. It doesn't matter how good you are, there's always people who are better than you who you can learn from. Never ever forget this, all right? It doesn't matter how successful you become. Always know who you're competing with. It's super easy to think, oh, you're on the top of the world after seeing a little bit of success, but never forget that you still have direct competitors. They might change because you level up, but you still need to adapt to their standards and get better than them. You have to improve still. It doesn't matter how successful you are, and always stay humble, never be too proud, never get arrogant, whatever it is, stay humble and stop talking. This applies to when you're successful too. Shut up, just shut up about what you do, shut up about your successes, no one gives a shit, shut up. And then if you fail, sometimes you just have to go back to the fundamentals, even though it hurts, even though you were at level 10, right? If you fail, go back levels, step back. And you have to be cool sometimes with stepping back and going back, even though you were better, you might have been better before, you might have thought that you were better than that, but you have to step back. You have to maybe go from working for yourself to working for someone else for some time. You have to be cool with this mindset. You have to be cool with going back steps, because if you don't do this, I promise you, after you fail, you won't recover. And so you have to maintain internal metrics, meet your own standards, increase your own standards, right? Don't look for external validation. Your ego will actually hold you back from recovering after failures, because the more you think you know about something, the less you will be open to learn and to keep staying a student. And this is important, especially if you fail after successes. If you don't have the balls to go back to the fundamentals, if you don't have the balls to actually recover and to, admit to yourself that you're not as good as you thought, the more you don't do that, the slower your recovery will even be. And then, if you never admit to yourself that you're bad at something, then you might never return to the success to be successful again. And there's a quote from the book Ego is the Enemy from Ryan Holiday, which I highly suggest everyone to read. And the quote basically is, impressing people is utterly different from being truly impressive. Let that sit for a second. Pause the video, think about that. And then last but not least, I want to kind of break down the process of working and what you actually have to do to become successful. And these are things that you have to do, and there's no way around any of this, and that's the way I want to kind of break down now. So first of all, what is super important is everything that you learn, every information that you get, it doesn't matter if it's, an own learning or a learning from someone else, you have to implement it as quickly as possible. And so you have to learn from your own and other people's mistakes. But not only that, don't do your best, just do what's required. This is something which, if you actually think about this, it does make sense. But a lot of people say, oh, if you try your best, that's cool. No, No, you can't do your best and expect things to work, because if you did your best and it worked, then that means you were already good enough, but you're probably not. So that means you need to figure out a way to make it work, even though you probably don't have the abilities yet. So you need to learn, you need to get those skills that are needed to actually make it. And so don't do your best, do what's required. And oftentimes your best is not going to be enough to reach the minimum requirements. And this is why you're not where you want to be at in life. Now, the speed of implementation is probably the most important thing, especially in business. Every time that you learn something, implement it the same day immediately after learning it, because people who take weeks to implement a strategy or a new piece of information or whatever it is, they will probably never get successful. Remember that. And it's actually the work that no one sees that matters. It doesn't matter, what you post on Instagram, how much you work. It doesn't matter how much you tell people you work. At the end of the day, what matters is the work that is done when no one is watching. Then you have to eliminate distractions. And so the first step of doing that is to change your environment, change the people around you, change where you work, where you live, where you sleep. You are the product of the 5 people that you try to impress the most, or that you compare yourself to the most, right? It's not about the people that you spend the most time with. It's actually the people that you try to impress every single day. Another way of eliminating distractions is just to turn off your notifications. Just turn them off, all right? If you can't work without looking on your phone for 8 hours straight, then you're addicted and you have a big problem. And how do you expect to build something crazy if you can't even focus without checking your notifications every 5 minutes? And then also what helped me, but this is very practical, is implementing some kind of calendar into your life. I personally use Google Calendar, and this is just to always have your day planned out. And this is extremely helpful when it comes to productivity and actually getting shit done every single day. And you will never, again, you will never ask yourself, what do I do next? Because if you have a to-do list with 100 things, you will never know where to start, and you will waste time by thinking about, what do I do next, right? And you might lose motivation, you might stop working the day, and that kind of stuff. So if everything is planned out with a calendar, every single hour, or maybe even every single 15 minutes, that depends on what's working best for you, obviously, then the more productive you will be and the more shit you will get done. And one thing which is also super important to understand, is you have to take risks and you have to step out of your comfort zone, because at the end of the day, in 100 years from now, everyone you know, including yourself, will be dead. All right, everyone you know is, it's just gonna die. All right, so it doesn't even matter. If you take a risk, which you kind of super afraid to make, or a decision that you're just so scared of, but we should make it. Bro, in 100 years, you're gonna be dead. No one's gonna remember you in 100 years. No one's gonna even remember your name in 100 years. And everyone who's laughing at you now, everyone who you love, who you hate, they're all going to be dead. Every person that's living right now in 100 years time from now is going to be dead. So why the fuck do you care, right? Make decisions. Whatever it is in life that you want to do, make them, all right? I'll give you an example for this. If you think about dropping out of school, right? Make the decision. Decide. Stop thinking about, should I do this? Either drop out or don't drop out, but make the decision. And then if you decide to not drop out, go ahead and actually, okay, I'm going to study, I'm going to do this the right way. Or actually just drop out. Don't take months to think about, should I drop out? I'm going to stay like it is. No, make the decision. And if you don't make decisions, that is something which is going to kill you over a long period of time. And one thing which you have to understand is you learn before you earn. You get good before you get rich. You have to be able to be patient for years with high volume, a lot of work, and actually just, be cool with no one watching when you do the hard work for years. And this is the part where everyone fails. They, can't work for more than a couple of months. You have to be able, if you can't do it forever, don't do it for one single day. This is something which you forever should remember. And you have to break your beliefs. Every single time that you ask yourself, oh my God, this is so much, I can't do this, you can always do more always. It doesn't matter how much you're making, how much you're working a day, whatever it is, you just break your beliefs and you can always do more. There's always more in you. If your life truly depended on it, which it kind of does, but we just don't realize, you can always do so much more than you believe. So break your beliefs. Don't listen to your brain telling you, oh, stop now, because it's getting uncomfortable. If it's getting uncomfortable, it's right, and you have to keep pushing more and more and more. Don't let anyone tell you you can't work for 12 hours a day for months. It's super possible. Don't let anyone tell you you cannot train every single day. You can, all right? Like I said before, the easiest way to kill a big dream is to present it to a small mind, all right? So stay quiet. Don't tell anyone what you're doing, because if you tell someone, even if the other person believes you and believes in you, if you talk about doing something, your brain actually already gives you dopamine as if you were to already do it. So that's why talking about stuff that you're going to do is so attractive and so easy. However, if you don't talk about it, it's going to be super difficult for you. Your brain is not going to release any dopamine, and you're going to have to go ahead and actually put in the work, right, to get that dopamine. But if you talk about it, you will very likely not do it at the end of the day. So don't talk about anything you're going to do. Don't talk about your goals. Forget your goals. Optimize your habits. Put in the work. It's super hard. The work that no one sees matters. And that is what I'm going to tell you in this video. I hope you could learn something. I hope you liked this video. Thank you so much for giving me your time and your attention. And I wish you a beautiful day.